Hello everyone, this is Bobbin Threadbare, and welcome back to the Human Revolution. Now, as I recall, we had a side quest I needed to finish up, right here.
Has Chen been taken care of?
I planted the drugs and left him unconscious in his apartment. Your friend should have no trouble with the arrest.
I will contact him immediately. Thank you.
Just glad I could help.
You saved us, Mr. Jensen. Money does not feel like enough thanks for what you have done, but here's the payment promised. I hope you will be satisfied with it.
Oh, she's making the call right away.
喂，建，是没，都好了，他做了，是，谢谢，祝你好运。
I guess she's done. She should have some more to say.
You have saved not just me, Mr. Jensen, but all the girls here from a fate worse than death. Thank you for everything you've done.
All right. And with that done, it's time to visit the Hive, which is actually easiest to jump down from the roof. Because otherwise, you'd basically have to run around half the building to get here. This is just faster. And since I have the VIP card, I could just waltz right in. No cover charge, no secret entrances, nothing.
Nice. Those custom jobs. They sure in TYM. They mostly make knockoff crap. You take what you can get though, right? Sure, Taiyang built this damn city. They cut corners to do it for sure. I've heard some nasty rumors about the quality control.
Very impressive machinery, my friend. As you can see, not all of us are as lucky as you. That's professional work.
I think I heard this second guy back in the other district.
Maybe one day I can introduce you to my doctor. What do you think, Lao Wai? Trade some equipment. But it's all leading us to the same place. Right, Lao Wai? If this shit happens.
Singularitist, or however you would say that. Someone who believes in the human singularity.
That's right, Bell Tower. They're the cops around here in case you didn't know it. They're here to put an end to corruption. And I can get them here in seconds because my dad works for them.
Wow, that's cool. So if I call you next week, can you get me on the guest list? And the cover charge here is highway robbery.
End corruption, huh?
Hey, don't start anything with me, man. Because I can have someone from Bell Tower on your ass in 5 minutes if I need to. Listen, find someone else to bother.
That's nice. But I already have a date. And I don't take drinks from strangers. I know the waitress, though. I'll take one from her if she brings it. A golden phoenix sling would be nice.
I guess these two aren't talking to each other.
So I see this guy laying on the ground in the alley, all beat up and shit, with blood pouring out of his shoulder. The harvester must have yanked his cipher off right in his socket.
Damn. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I know. It's a fruit drink, but it's a house special. And it's really very good. I have no idea why they named it the Golden Phoenix Sling. Probably because Golden Dragon is taken.
Wow! I don't suppose you got those pants at the local clinic. They look almost military to me. I'm betting you can take care of yourself. You might not want to flog them too much in some areas. Bell Tower can't control everything.
They say the owner of this place is connected, you know, with the triad. Smuggling works right out of basement. Mr. Kong must have an office down there. I've seen some dangerous looking people back that way. Quite a few lesbians back up.
You knew in him, right? Little piece of advice. Don't mess with the Bell Tower security folks. They don't take shit, and they don't answer to no one. So you think they run the place because they're backed by TYM. Dragon Queen doesn't know what's going on. You look like a tough guy. Just remember, plenty of tough guys here. Have a nice evening, sir. Don't forget to tip the waitress.
This is my first time in the Hive. They've got nothing like this in Apple City. No wonder all my friends recommend this place. I wouldn't want to wander around the streets darkly. I've heard stories about people disappearing.
What do you think of Hengsha? This is some crazy city. I'll bet you can find just about anything here.
They say the Hive serves the best streets in Lower City. That's not surprising, considering who runs the place. Mr. Tom probably gets the best of everything. Or at least he makes sure no one else does. 第一次来蜂窝，听好了，别惹事。这里的保镖可不是省油的灯。我通常先来这里喝上2杯，然后呢再去红花。那里的女人才对了我的胃口。
Are you Bell Tower? Most part-time foreigners in Lower City work for Bell Tower, but most of them don't come in here to let us steam. The only here is some deal with Bell Tower, because you never see them in here.
Anything. Stay away from the basement. That's it. Tom's permission. The security guys down there won't think twice about it and encourage you.
The bartender can wait.
You've got to be kidding me. The owner of the most popular club in Hengsha has his office in a smelly old basement?
Mr. Tom is conscious of his roots. He likes everyone he does business with to be conscious of it too.
Right. And on the plus side, if a business associate displeases him, the basement is much more private.
You said it. I did. But I advise you not to repeat it to just anyone. I only mention it because I'm trying to score.
Good luck with that.
第一次来蜂窝，听好了，别惹事。
Heard that guy before.
这里的保镖可不是省油的灯。我通常先来这里喝上2杯。
You got a favorite poison?
I'm looking for Tom.
Everyone wants to talk to Tom. Check the VIP lounge upstairs. What can I get you?
The Golden Phoenix Sling.
Oh, a man of taste, are we? Excellent choice. There you go.
I figure, I still got some health I need to recover. Plus, this one recovers 30 points. It's pretty nice.
Are you walking the streets of Lower City alone, my friend? Even those military-class augments won't save you if you're not careful. Here's some free advice. Don't stir up trouble, especially in the Hive. Or you might find someone else wearing those arms.
你是怎么进来的？我以为他们只让那些厉害角色进来呢。我到蜂巢可不是为了跟废柴们会在一起的。不过呢，既然你进来了，我想还是有点名义。
Wonder if there's any other beers around here.
我们刮了再回来。
Huh. There's one.
哎，来看，锁的封锁，小心一点，别让回头。可以走。
You want something? I have other customers to get to. What would it be? We have big selections.
Any other beers I can take around here? Does not look like it. Just a bunch of glasses. Oh well.
Have you noticed all the securities in this place? Even the door to the basement has a high-tech keypad lock. I wonder what goes on down there. Then again, maybe I don't want to know what goes on in the basement. I hear the owner is a triad.
Very impressive machinery, my friend.
Definitely heard you before. Alright, that would be the way into the basement, but of course it's locked. That guy is out cold. Oh well. Women's bathroom, and this is where you would get in from the ventilation ducts in the back. Remember that? Oh, bathroom beer. My favorite. And here in the men's room. Oh, a pocket secretary with a basement access code on it. Nothing else, though, except some rather oddly placed ashtrays.
只是我还是今晚的解数度太高了。
我的确是从 VIP 房间拿来的，不过也许你是被我的魅力醉倒了吧？
哦，是吗？
可能吧。你现在喝一口，什么？不想让我把你灌醉，再占你的便宜？
我还没想好。
你真会挑逗我。
感兴趣吗？
滚开！别来烦老子！没看我这忙着的吗？太煞风景了
你介意吗？我们在谈很私人的话题。
Well, fair enough.
Oh shit, it's gone. My pocket secretary.
对，那又怎样？不珍贵的东西。
No man, you don't understand. Tong's email with a new basement security code. It was on it.
什么？你该把它杀掉的。
I know. Just keep an eye out for it, will ya?
Hey, I found it. It was in the bathroom.
I'm busy. Ask the bartender if he needs something. I'm speaking English, so I know you understand. Move along.
男人的浴室在楼下。I said the man's room is downstairs.
I know.
干嘛？别烦我啦！你听得懂中文吗？
Man, everyone smokes in the future.
Yeah, sure. Everyone's swimming in profits right now and playing with their toy augmentations. Nobody's thinking about the children.
The children?
Yeah. What kind of world are we leaving for them? China's environmental record is getting worse and worse every year. We pretty much have the monopoly on human enhancement technology, but we sure take the cake in pollution.
Listen, I just want to party tonight. I don't really want...
We're the most powerful country in this world, and we don't take care of it. How does that make any sense? At least we have the Pancheas of this world to give me a shred of hope. And don't even get me started on human rights abuses.
I'll try not to.
Why can't we make profits and be conscious of what we do at the same time? That's all I'm asking for. Some people just don't want to hear the truth.
Well, not at a bar, they don't.
People are so worried about what happens tomorrow when they should just worry about today. And today, I want another drink. Tomorrow, I'll probably want one too.
你喜欢好伤吗？我想你听不懂我说的话，但是
你好，很高兴认识你。再见，我的美国朋友。
哇，好漂亮的夹克，是皮的吗？你根本不明白我说的话，对不对？
哦，对不起，太多的金凤凰了。早上我会后悔喝了这么多啊。
They say the owner of this place is connected, you know, with the triads. Smuggling.
You knew in Hengsha, right? Little piece of advice. Don't mess with the bell tower security folks. They don't take shit, and they don't answer to no one.
Alright, there's the manager, apparently.
Nice. Those custom jobs. The insurance
请不要再烦我！
Almost make
你是谁？让我安静点！猪头，滚开！
你想要什么，老外？狗娘养的美国佬。
Now over here we have keypad I can't actually access yet. But I can get back here into the bar. Anyway, this guy here. If you know anything about the first game, you know that Tracer Tong has a big old port wine stain on his face. And so does this guy. So guess what?
You work here?
Yeah. You could say that.
Good. I need to see your boss.
Really? Well, I'm sorry, Guilo. Mr. Tong Zihong sees no one today.
Look, I didn't come halfway around the world to take no for an answer. Do us both a favor and tell me where he is.
Or what? You get mad and tear down a few walls with those enhancements of yours? This place isn't named the Hive for nothing. It's got plenty of worker bees come out of the paneling to stop you. What is it you think Mr. Tong do for you anyway?
I'm looking for someone. A cybersecurity specialist named Ari Van Bruggen. You know him?
Never heard of him. What'd he do? Steal your girl? Owe you money?
He had a job go bad, and now he's on the run from the people who hired him. But you knew that already, because a man like Mr. Tong doesn't hire idiots. And this is the first place people like Van Bruggen come when they need help. So stop wasting my time and take me to Tong.
You've got it backwards, boy. You're wasting my time. Van Bruggen is minor league player. Tong knows who he is. He just don't care. He's got bigger things to worry about.
Now, right now, he's toying around with us because, obviously with the bell tower raid, he is big leagues. So we just need to point this fact out to him.
You expect me to fall for that? Small-timers don't attract this much attention. They don't have bell tower soldiers staking out their apartments. Van Bruggen's pissed off somebody big. And there's no way Tong's going to ignore that kind of development in his town.
You're smarter than you look. Yeah. Tong is keeping a close eye on things. Like you said, he's no fool. Now it's time you were leaving. Go back to your own country. There's nothing for you here.
Alright, now he's just straight out refusing. So the way to get past that is to appeal to his greed. Except we're not going to be doing that. We're going to be using the Casey mod. Because, well, normally I usually try to go through the entire thing. In this case, the Casey mod ending is much more awesome. Now, he's obviously an alpha, so...
You see that bodyguard over there? If you're gonna play tricks on the Guaylo, you gotta train your people better. Everything about him is shouting out who you really are, Mr. Tong. Now how about we go someplace private? Unless you want everyone in the club to know what you're hiding.
Fine. Fine. I'll meet you in my office, downstairs in the basement. The boys will let you through.
Interesting. He still has an accent, but it's not as pronounced now. Now that he's dropped his act. Well, they spell whiskey the Canadian way.
Yeah, you're real smart. You go down to my office. We'll talk some more there. You want to hear more about Van Bruggen, then you meet me in my office. I got top business here.
Guess that one's still locked. And I don't have the code for it either. Anyway, yeah, Americans spell whiskey with an E. The Irish spelling. It's because we got so many Irish immigrants, Oh, but this is unlocked now. Alright, all sorts of places you can get to back here. Oh, white wine. Kinda looks like that's the only thing back here, though. That I can take, anyway. Alright, up to 195. That's pretty good. This door's locked, but there's nobody around. It's level 5, but that's never stopped me before. Does mean I'll have to be cautious, though, because level 4s have a decent chance of detection. So I'll just nuke this one so I can get closer to the end stack here. And since that one didn't go off, all I have to do is wait for this to finish. And then...
access granted.
All the money is mine. That gets me back here to the DJ booth.
喜欢这里的设备吗？是高科技啊！好，我不接受点歌的，我可是个艺术家。行了，朋友，我今天晚上可没少抽大麻，我可能要被炒了。
All right. That appears to be for the safe. And this is back up to the VIP lounge.
You look like a tough guy. Just remember, plenty of tough guys here. Have a nice evening, sir. Don't forget to tip the waitress.
Heard that one before, too. Looks like those red doors aren't anything. But I can go into the ventilation duct here. And this actually gets me past that camera in the corner. And, you know, I don't need to because the camera isn't Ho dear. Alright, well, let's see. Rate of fire goes to the combat rifle. Pocket secretary. I guess he didn't sweet-talk his way out of this mess. No blood, but they got some interesting tools on the shelf here. Makes me wonder what happened. Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, that's a way of getting past the camera there. The reason why you would need to get past the camera is because this is the sewer entrance. So if you were infiltrating the area and you didn't want to bother with the, the regular area outside, you could take the sewer entrance. Just like with the police precinct back in Detroit. Oh, and this is the safe whose code I got a little earlier. It's for a decent amount of credits. Oh, code check. Neat. Wonder how they get the codes in here, though, because that's glass. Anyway, those guys out there, obviously, are going to get angry if I try to hack anything in this room. That's why it's good that I got the safe number. But what I didn't get was a code for that.
Hey, leaving already, tough guy? Because you might want to go over to the bar and order yourself a drink before you do. Maybe Bobby will have something for you.
Bobby?
The bartender. The real bartender, that is.
I might as well be polite about it.
Thanks. I just might check that out.
You do that.
Yeah, but I can actually find the password for that computer online. But I forgot it, which is kind of sad. There are unique emails on that computer. Anyway, the ventilation duct here, is a way you can listen in on a conversation. If Tong wasn't expecting you, if you were infiltrating from below. That would be how that works. You can also shoot up the place to get Force Tong to tell you something. But, I'm not quite sure how that works. I haven't tried it. Is that a beckoning cat? Huh. And he's got a picture of himself behind his desk, along with what I guess is his son. Interesting place you got here, Tong.
So, we got some privacy now. How about you tell me who you work for? Then I decide what I tell you about Van Bruggen.
Does the name Sarif Industries ring any bells?
Sarif Industries? Isn't that American company stole all the headlines a while back? You're still in business?
Why wouldn't we be?
Check the news. Biotech corporations seem to be failing a lot these days, especially the ones who are making enhancements. Van Bruggen's in the Alice Garden pods. Capsule 301. Place is a rat hole, but it's useful sometimes. Make sure you leave him in the same shape you find him.
And if I don't?
Your call. But those implants of yours might look even more special on somebody else. That's all you get from me, Lao Wai. Capsule 301. Alice Garden pods. That's where your hacker is. You make sure Van Bruggen stays healthy, or my boys pay you a visit.
Sure is a lot of junk he's got piled around here.
Malik, you were right. Tong is helping Van Bruggen. He stashed him in the Alice Garden pods.
Thought as much. A hacker who knows his way around corporate firewalls would make a valuable asset for the Triads. I'm at the pods myself, Jensen. Want me to run interference?
No. Don't put yourself at risk. I'm heading there now.
Well, first of all, though...
What can I get you?
Looks like Tong's running a nice operation here.
You for hire? Because a suspicious man might not appreciate you asking.
A suspicious man might also wonder what kind of job gets handed off to strangers. But alright, I'll bite. What are you offering?
I got a problem I need solving. Trouble is, none of my usual guys are available. And this problem? It involves a woman. Someone who owes Tong Operation here some money. getting it out of her is proving to be difficult. It's a dirty job, but it pays well. You interested?
Might as well.
Tell me more. I'm listening.
That's what I like to hear. This woman, Jaya, she's a broker. Highly competitive field in Hengsha. But without the right skills, her business wasn't doing so well. So we helped her out. Gave her a nice social enhancement upgrade chip so she could understand her clients' needs. Now, it's time to pay us what's due, but she says she won't.
So basically you want me to be your collector?
Yes, but it's not as simple as that. The girl's gone into hiding and thinks we won't find her. But she also took her phone and computer along to keep her business alive.
Not very smart. Assuming you've got the equipment to track those.
We don't exactly. But we know someone who does. And that's where you come in. Bow Tower set up a surveillance network around town. A series of relay antennas. I need you to hack them. 3 relays should be enough for us to access the database and triangulate Jaya's position.
Then I go get your money.
Exactly. The first relay is on the rooftop of a 4-story building in the Yuzhou district. I assume you've got an info link and Wayfinder package in those fancy AUGs of yours? I'll upload the coordinates and then contact you once you've hacked in.
Alright, well that's straightforward enough. But of course you don't need to see me walking all the way over here.
Good job, Lao Wei. I see you found the first relay. Now hack it and turn off its security protocols.
I'm not sure if that guy has an accent, maybe? Lao Wei instead of Lao Wai?
Access granted.
1 down, 2 to go, my friend.
Now, luckily, the other 2 are actually close enough that I don't have to make any jump cuts to get there. Oh, jumped a little too high there. These are all hacking level 2, oddly enough. I guess they feel a little more comfortable about throwing 2s and 3s your way in the side missions.
Access granted.
Good. Second relay is down. Only 1 remaining.
Since you don't technically need to hack these in order to finish the game. You need to do so in order to finish the side quests, and it's there's a pretty good chance that you at least got a couple of points into the basic hacking skill because it's so damn useful. Plus, you can always buy some of those instant hack devices to break them open. That'll work too. Damn it. Ah, crap, that's right. I forgot to get that one.
Access granted.
I forgot to get that one.
Excellent work. I'm starting the triangulation now. Should have a location very soon.
Luckily, I know where he's going to tell me to go.
And I've got it. Jaya is hiding in an apartment building called the Hengsha Court Gardens in the Yuzhou district. I'm sending you her coordinates. Get over there and get us the money she owes.
Oh, hey. This is an interesting art installation. You know, there's so much stuff that you don't see unless you look up in this game. Alright, so this side quest has a bunch of different ways it can end. You can force her to give you the money. You can make her give you the chip instead, but that counts as a failure. You can kill her and get the chip, and that counts as a failure, because, you know, they want her paying them money. Or, there's one more alternate ending.
Who are you? Another one of Tong's thugs? Well, get out! I told him I won't pay another credit!
Let's try not to be a dick about this.
Look, I know this is not an ideal situation, and I'm not proud that I gotta do this. But Tong's crew wants the money you owe them.
Oh, you poor boy. Having trouble dealing with the dirty job you have to do? And I should feel sorry for you? Reality check, taxman. You're here to steal money from me.
Stealing? They got you the augmentation you needed, and they expect you to pay for it. Not the most charitable thing to do, but I would hardly call it stealing.
Are you really that gullible? Tong doesn't run a buy now, pay later operation. It's more like a buy now, pay forever. Listen, I just started as a broker. Most other brokers come from rich families. They paid for augments that give them an incredible edge in the business. There's no way I could afford anything like that through legal channels.
So you cut a deal with a crime syndicate.
I didn't study this hard to end up with nothing. Once I made enough money, I offered to pay for the aug. But no, what they want is part of my monthly profits. They say they're entitled to it since it's their upgraded enhancement chip that helped me make that money.
Let's get some more information about this.
How much are they asking from you?
A couple hundred credits every month. Doesn't look like much, but in the long run, let's just say they've made a very lucrative deal. Especially if you consider I'm not their only client.
Couldn't you work without the augment? You wouldn't have gotten into so much trouble if you'd played by the rules.
Play by the rules? Let me tell you a little story about playing by the rules. I come from a poor family. My father, my mother, my 2 sisters, and 3 brothers, none of them ever amounted to much. When I tried to do better, when I made efforts in school, they said I was wasting my time. I got into business school, and again, they said I was wasting my time. That I could never compete with all those rich kids and their tutors and extra classes.
But you did.
I did. I finished top of my class, without the extra help and special attention, only through blood, sweat, and tears. And then what did my classmates do? They cheated. They once again bought their way to success. And what did my family say? That I had wasted my time. I was just supposed to accept defeat after all the efforts I've made? No. No way.
That's a lot of siblings for a Chinese family.
How did you meet Tong?
The same way most people end up meeting Tong. I was hurt. And one of his hounds smelled blood. They came to me and offered me help. I was intelligent enough to know it was a bad idea, but angry enough not to care.
Well, maybe we could help her out, you know?
Listen, maybe I can speak to one of Tong's men. Try and get you off the hook.
You would do that? I thought you were just another one of his mindless thugs. It's hard to properly express what this could mean for me.
Don't thank me yet. I can't guarantee they'll listen, but I'll try.
Now, I'm pretty sure she is manipulating Jensen. I mean, that's why they needed an outsider for this job, is because she manipulated the last person they sent.
You got a favorite poison?
But you know what?
Hey, about that job?
You found Jaya yet? You need to get back the money she owes us.
I got tons of money. I got nothing to do with it. Why the hell not? Oh, these weren't here before.
Like you said, this is a nasty bit of work. What's in it for me?
You seem like a tech-savvy type. I could get you a nice little Praxis kit. Something you won't regret.
This woman, Jaya. Tell me again what you want from her.
Only the money she owes. Payment for an upgraded social enhancement chip we got for her. Thanks to you, we now know she's hiding in an apartment building in the residential district, the Hengsha Court Gardens.
I know the place. Had to get into it once already.
Second time's always the charm.
What's it gonna take for you to leave Jaya alone for good?
I don't understand. Didn't you get the money?
I know about the Shylock scam you're running. Get her the augment she wants and then bleed her with monthly payments for the rest of her life. I want to know what it's gonna take for you to leave her alone for good.
A cyborg with a heart of gold, are we? Tell you what, Guilo. You give me a year's worth of payments and she's free.
Oddly enough, that's the cost of a Praxis kit normally.
You're too kind a man. A fine specimen of humanity. Here's your money. Now you better leave her alone.
Don't make threats you can't enforce. But yes, she's off the hook. Here's the Praxis kit we promised you. It's top-notch, so have fun.
Alright, that's basically it for the Hive. There's going to be more stuff to do here, but,
What can I get?
well, before anything else...
I'll try the Slumdog.
On a budget, big player? The label might not look like much, but the taste is even worse. Enjoy.
I might as well top off my health here. Nice, round 200. The 5th cycle has begun, and I'll be kicking things off in Cyberpunk Corner by covering the last book in my look at the evolution of the cyberpunk genre. I had some trouble finding something appropriate that was both popular and written by a new author in the early teens decade, but in the end, I went with Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. About the author. Ernest Cline was born in early 1972, which means he spent basically his entire teen life in the 1980s. Now, this fact is also true about Cory Doctorow, the author of Down and Out in the Magic Kingdom, but it happens to be relevant for Cline. Just trust me on this. You'll understand soon enough. Cline's website has a unique layout. You'll really have to go see it for yourself to know what I'm getting at. Nevertheless, according to the biography I have no doubt he set up himself, Cline had what was basically a typical nerdy kid's upbringing throughout the 70s and 80s. When the Atari 2600 first came out, Cline fell in love with video games. His childhood interests included guitars and programming in BASIC. Oh, and Star Wars, naturally. I can't find much information about what Cline did with himself throughout most of the 90s, but Ready Player One definitely wasn't his first foray into writing. Instead, he mostly wrote poetry and screenplays, including one that got picked up in 2008 for an indie production. The film is called Fanboys, and it's a road trip movie about a bunch of crazy Star Wars fans. I haven't seen it, but apparently it was below average and wasn't quite as hard on the fanboys as it really should have been. In 2010, Random House picked up Cline's idea for a cyberpunk book about 80s nostalgia, and because he was technically now a successful screenwriter, Warner Brothers optioned the movie rights the same day. When Ready Player One came out in 2011, it turned out to be a big hit, although it had a much more mixed reception with critics. 10 months after the book's release, Cline revealed that it held an Easter egg, which in turn led to a series of video game tests, and the grand prize was an '81 DeLorean. This prize was awarded in 2012, and meanwhile, Cline bought a different DeLorean with his royalties from the book sales. More recently, in 2015, Warner Brothers acted on its option and brought in Cline to help write the screenplay. Steven Spielberg is the director, with John Williams composing the film score. Even now, it's in production or post-production, and it's scheduled for release at the end of March in 2018. You can imagine what an old 80s nerd like Cline thinks about these developments. The story. Well, first of all, some backstory. Ready Player One takes place in 2045, in a world where fossil fuels have long since dried up and the global economy has gone down the drain. The real world has become downright depressing, though not nearly so depressing as it is in The Wind-Up Girl. But there is a ray of sunshine that just about everyone can access. Oasis. Oasis is a virtual reality MMO that conquered the gaming landscape back in the late 2010s and has since absorbed the rest of the internet by becoming the VR cyberspace people had dreamed of since the 1980s. Think like if World of Warcraft and EVE Online had a baby, and then imagine that that baby had an effectively infinite amount of space and was incredibly moddable to the point where the Star Wars and Star Trek universes coexist in two different sectors. Needless to say, every other fandom has followed suit. Oh, and Oasis only costs a single quarter to play. because the company makes its money by selling in-game customization items and charging fees for transportation which accept either in-game or out-of-game money. Anyway, the two men most responsible for Oasis are James Halliday and Ogden Morrow, and their game company, Gregarious Simulation Systems, or GSS, was basically Origin Systems in the 80s and id Software in the 90s. If you don't know what that means, let's just say that they were the best computer RPG makers before first-person shooters were a thing, and afterwards, they were the best at that. Some 5 years before the book starts, James Halliday dies, leaving GSS in a lurch since he has no heirs. He was even estranged from his old friend Ogden Morrow, who had left GSS 15 years before Halliday's death. So instead, Halliday created a video packed with 80s references that announced that he had snuck an 80s-based Easter egg into Oasis, and whoever finds it first gets his entire estate, including a controlling interest in GSS. Seeing as this is essentially the modern internet at this point, everyone becomes obsessed with 80s nostalgia, particularly the higher-ups of innovative online industries, which controls most of the internet infrastructure and wants to buy Oasis and turn it into a subscription service. They're going to be our evil corporation antagonists for this book, so that's about all I need to say. Our protagonist is Wade Watts, a high school senior who lives with his abusive aunt in the towering slums outside Oklahoma City. In real life, Wade is a kid with no prospects and no hopes, but on Oasis, he's Parzival, an Easter egg hunter, or gunter, who studies pop and nerd culture from the 80s and 90s every moment he doesn't spend sleeping or going to an online public school in Oasis. He enjoys it there on Ludus, since he can mute the bullies, and the entire sector is a no PvP area. Parzival's best friend is a fellow high school gunter named H, spelled A-E-C-H, and the two of them like to hang out in H's virtual basement. Parzival is also a big fan of a blog written by Artemis, spelled with a 3 instead of an E, and despite the fact that you can't be completely certain about someone's gender when you're online, and despite the fact that he's never so much as messaged her, Parzival has something of a crush on Artemis. The book spends a few chapters setting all that backstory up, but one day Parzival realizes that the first clue Halliday left might have been referring to planet Ludus. It is plausible, since the world was set up through a donation by Halliday, and so he had the opportunity to program in an Easter egg while no one was paying attention. Sure enough, Parzival scans a map of the surface until he finds the hill that conceals the Tomb of Horrors, a classic D&D module that, for some reason, is absent from the classic D&D part of Oasis. Without wasting any time, Parzival gets to the tomb's location as fast as he can. Using a copy of the module as a walkthrough, he navigates the traps and loots the treasure until he reaches the Hall of Pillars, where the Demilich Acererak is waiting. But since this is a no PvP planet, Acererak challenges Parzival to a game of Joust, a 1982 game that Parzival happened to play all the time with H, and so he beats the Lich on his first try. As such, he gets a giant pile of experience, giant pile of money, and the first of 3 keys needed to reach the Easter egg, which is inscribed with a clue to the location of the first gate. On his way out, Parzival encounters Artemis, who had found the tomb 3 weeks earlier but was having trouble winning at Joust. Parzival tries to play innocent since they are competitors, but then Artemis brings up the public high score list and sees that his name is the only one on the board. Despite all that, however, they end up hitting it off and becoming friends. As Artemis heads into the tomb to get the first key, Parzival follows the gate clue to Middletown, a planet covered in copies of Halliday's hometown as it was back in the mid-80s. Based on the clue's instructions, Parzival heads to Halliday's childhood home and plays through the 1982 computer RPG Dungeons of Daggorath. Upon finishing the game, he suddenly finds himself acting out Matthew Broderick's role in the 1983 movie War Games. Parzival gets through it successfully, and so, 114 minutes later, his score jumps again and he gets a hint for the second key's location. Unlike the door hint, Parzival doesn't understand this clue immediately, and in the meantime Artemis clears the gate second. H gets third by deducing how Parzival found the key, and after someone leaks Parzival's identity, two Japanese brothers named Daito and Shoto get fourth and fifth. After that, the IOI Gunters, nicknamed Sixers, blockade the tomb, but they eventually get overrun by Gunter guilds. And in case you were wondering, all of the top 5 Gunters are independent, with no allegiance to any guild. Parzival starts getting an income thanks to his avatar's new fame, and as he works out how to do so anonymously, Nolan Sorrento, head of the Sixers, sends Parzival a business proposition. Out of curiosity, Parzival meets with Sorrento to hear his offer to join the team and to turn it down, but it turns out Sorrento knows where Wade Watts lives because they stole his online school records. They threaten to kill him and his family. Wade refuses because he thinks they're bluffing, and so IOI blows up his home. Luckily, Wade was hiding out in an empty van nearby, but his aunt is dead now, and Wade has to go on the run now, so IOI won't capture or kill him. After warning the rest of the High Five about IOI, Wade uses his newfound income to create a fake identity and move to Columbus, Ohio, the headquarters of IOI and the capital of a new Silicon Valley. In the following months, Parzival graduates from high school and becomes a permanent shut-in, spending his days leveling up his avatar and hanging out with Artemis. At one point, the two of them go to Ogden Morrow's birthday party in a PvP zone, but when the Sixers crash the party, Ogden's developer avatar murders them all with a wave of his hand. Also at the party, Parzival admits that he's in love with Artemis, but she rejects him, claiming that he hasn't seen the real her, and they can't take the next step anyway until one of them finds the Easter egg. Months pass, and Parzival has become isolated even from his online friends. And that's when Artemis finds the second key. Based on the way the Sixers move in response, Parzival knows approximately where Artemis was when she got it, and so he makes a guess and heads to the planet Arcade, a place where users can recreate the video arcades where they spent their childhoods. He finds one created by Halliday himself, and he spots a Pac-Man cabinet with a quarter glued to the screen and a near-perfect high score. So Parzival plays a perfect game and gets the quarter, but it's not the second key and he can't figure out what it does. Afterwards, Parzival gets a message from H, who just found the second key himself and decided to pay Parzival back for inadvertently helping him find the first key. The second key is on Frobaz, the planet of the 1980 game Zork, and so Parzival runs through the game and gets the key just before the Sixers show up to set up a new blockade. Daito and Shoto aren't so lucky, and as Parzival later learns from Shoto, IOI kills Daito in real life, not just in the game. IOI also figure out where the second gate and third key are before anyone else. A while after that, Parzival figures out that the second gate is in a developer template building based on the giant pyramid in Blade Runner. After taking the Voight-Kampff test located in the template, Parzival is transported into Black Tiger, a 1987 arcade side-scroller, and he has to play through it from a first-person perspective. As a reward, he gets a unique Japanese giant mecha, and he decides to pick Leopardon, the original Sentai mecha piloted by Japanese Spider-Man. The next clue refers to Halliday's favorite band and album, Rush's 2112, released in 1976. On a planet based on the album, Parzival finds the guitar used by Alex Lifeson on the 2112 tour and plays a bit of the album for a bonus hint. He then uses it to get the third key, and learns that the third gate must be in Halliday's in-game castle. That bonus clue is why the Sixers never cleared the third gate, but in the meantime they've set up an impregnable barrier around the castle so no one else can get in either. Wade gets a crazy idea to infiltrate IOI headquarters by getting his fake identity arrested and forced into indentured servitude, all the while armed with backdoor logins he bought from an IOI programmer who hated the company. Using extra fake names lifted from Terry Gilliam's Brazil, Wade gets full access to the IOI's closed network and downloads their surveillance information on the High Five, including a video of them throwing Daito out a window, and he plants some instructions for one of their Oasis helper bots. After escaping, Wade reverts back to his original identity, uploads the information he stole through a public terminal, and he convinces Shoto, Artemis, and H to help him make one final push since you need 3 people to open the final gate. They also recruit the Gunter Guilds to fight the Sixer army, and then Ogden Morrow appears in their private chat room and offers to help, something he can do because he still has all his developer permissions. He also invites them all to come to his estate in Oregon, so that they'll be safe in meat space too. By the time they all collect together, Wade has found out that H, real name Helen Harris, is actually a black woman, who created a white male avatar in order to be taken seriously online. He also learns that Artemis, real name Samantha Cook, looks basically like her avatar, aside from having a massive port wine stain, which is that dark red mark on Tong Si-hung's face I mentioned before. So, not too bad as far as disfigurements go, but certainly enough to mentally scar a socially awkward teenage girl. Everyone logs in at Ogden's place and heads to Halliday's castle. When Parzival's planet directive kills the guy who's maintaining the barrier, the final battle begins, with plenty of giant mechas on both sides. Parzival kills Sorrento's avatar, but just after they unlock the last gate, the Sixers activate a Doomsday artifact and annihilate everyone in a 5-mile radius. But then Parzival's avatar comes back, because that quarter he found on the Pac-Man machine was an extra life artifact. And that's pretty significant because there is normally no resurrection in Oasis. It's roguelike. Grabbing some artifact shoes from Artemis that survived the blast, Parzival flies into the gate and he has to beat all the challenges before the Sixers can beat him to it. The first challenge is to get a high score on Tempest, a 1981 Atari arcade game. The second is another film recreation, this one of Monty Python and the Holy Grail. The last challenge takes place in a warehouse full of vintage gaming and computer systems. Parzival boots them up by using Broderick's computer from War Games, and then plays through Adventure for the Atari 2600, since that was the first video game to ever contain an Easter egg, and it was Halliday's inspiration. When he reaches the Easter egg, he gets a silver egg, and Halliday's avatar congratulates Parzival for being the winner, giving him all his in-game overpowered stats and all his real-life assets. As the book winds down, Parzival resurrects the avatars of Shoto, H, and Artemis, which he can do now with the developer's avatar. Sorrento goes to jail thanks to the leaked footage, and Wade and Samantha meet face-to-face for the first time. The analysis. Now, here I was talking about nostalgia and the future of the internet these past 2 weeks, and look at what today's book is about. Let me start out with my general impressions. Ready Player One is a book built on references, both those that occur naturally through the plot, and ones dropped in the text by the first-person narrator. I doubt I mentioned a tenth of all the media that gets name-dropped over the course of the novel. As such, how much you enjoy Ready Player One depends a lot on just how plugged in you are to the 80s, and to a lesser extent the 70s and 90s. The book's success is kind of a testament to how many people are nostalgic for that decade these days. Speaking personally, the 80s was kind of before my time. My teenage years fell more towards the late 90s and early aughts, and what I most remember from those years is that there was this big progressive wave of nostalgia for the 60s up through the 80s in the run-up to the year 2000. Still, you don't have to grow up in a decade to appreciate the media that comes out of it. I've played the original Zork games. I've run a group through the original Tomb of Horrors using an original copy of the module I got from my dad. I've watched War Games, I've memorized Holy Grail, and although I haven't played most of the arcade games the book mentions, I'm at least familiar with the classics. Still, Ready Player One is more than just a rehash of the 80s. If you scrape away the topsoil layer of references, you'll find a very 80s plot, actually. A nerdy outcast stumbles into a situation where his obsession somehow grants him fame and fortune. He lands a quirky girlfriend. There's an evil corporation to act as the paper-thin antagonist. And of course, the genre is decidedly cyberpunk, which itself is a child of the 80s. But like I said before, now is a pretty good time for 80s and early 90s nostalgia. That's how it always goes. The creators of today's media are always influenced by the media they grew up with 20 to 30 years ago. So the stuff coming out right now reminisces about the 80s. 90s products like Ren and Stimpy and Forrest Gump leaned heavily on the 60s and 70s. The neo-noir genre started in the 60s as a deliberate recreation of lighting styles and plotlines developed in the 40s. And the classic Warner Brothers cartoons of the 30s and 40s were packed with the physical humor and gags made popular by 1910s and 20s vaudeville routines. Ready Player One also has a few things to say about people who shut themselves away from society. But, like I said about Klein's movie, fanboys, the book isn't hard enough on its protagonists. There's this bit at the end where Halliday's avatar mentions that he regrets isolating himself at the end of his life, and he suggests to Parzival that he should spend some time outside once in a while. But this happens something like 15 chapters after Klein lovingly describes how future automation allows Wade Watts to survive indefinitely while locked in his apartment. It's kind of a mixed message. Still, there is one last thing I'd like to add. Out of all the books I've read so far for this LP series, Ready Player One has easily been the most readable. Thanks for joining me again today in Cyberpunk Corner, and I hope you'll join me next time for a movie about genetic prejudice.